Hey everyone, today we've got a senior from NYU on our show and we're chatting with Arnav Mody. Hi Arnav,
Hi.
welcome to the
Thank
show.
you.
Arnav, one of the questions I keep getting asked is how sure do you need to be about your major that you want to pursue in college right before you enter college?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a really important question because the crazy world that we're in right now, it's no longer a fixed track. Even in high school, you do the IB, you can choose among 6 subjects there. So the straight answer is that you don't need to be too sure. You could go into college not knowing exactly what you want to do, especially with the United States. In the UK, it's a bit different where you would need to apply to a particular major, be it economics, be it law, be it business studies. But in the US, you don't really have to apply for a major with your Common App. You can hint at some interest, but you don't have to apply to anything specific, and nor did I. So for example, take my case where I knew I wanted to do economics or something in that field, but I wasn't exactly sure. And then going there, I quite liked economics and the courses with that, but at the same time, I found a liking towards international relations too. So now I picked to do a double major in both economics and international relations. So in that sense, you don't need to worry too much about it because you don't have to be too sure. And you have 1 or 2 years to really figure it out. Take a few courses. Even if those courses don't really contribute to a major, you have the space to take some courses here and there and feel yourself around before making a decision maybe in your second year or third year.
Right. There's also this notion that you need to do specific majors to get specific types of jobs, and how much of that is the truth?
Yeah, so going by the fact that you don't have to be too sure about your major, you obviously shouldn't be too disadvantaged by not being sure and maybe even majoring in something that does not necessarily translate into a job. So take finance, for example. Many people think that you have to study business or accounting or finance to really get a job at a bank, be it equity research, investment banking, any analyst position out there, but that's not necessarily true. And for me, for example, I chose not to study in the business school, which is Stern, simply because I wanted more of a broader education. So that said, I too thought that it would be very disadvantaged, and it's very common to think that, and very fair to think that, because most people applying to banks, most people applying to investment management agencies and hedge funds would have studied some sort of accounting or finance, would have come from the business school. But if you just take that extra step, you do a bit of your own reading, it's not that hard, and you actually might even be advantaged by having this general background and then going into something where 90% of what you do is learning on the job. And that I've heard from friends across the board, whatever they've studied, what you actually study is not necessarily the same as what you'd be doing in the real life. You may have done a model valuation or something, but then when you actually work at an investment bank, the complications in that is very different, and most firms would have a training program for you, and they do not expect you to know everything. So that's one thing you definitely don't need to worry about. You should be ready to learn new stuff, be ready to work really hard, and ready to actually prepare yourself and differentiate yourself by reading outside what your class requires you to. Then any employer should be happy to have you.
One of the big challenges that students face on campus is getting an internship and then getting a job. So would you want to take them through a little bit of the process?
So I'm actually midway in that process. I just finished my summer internship. I was in New York for 10 weeks working, which I absolutely loved. And now soon I'll be going into the full-time kind of that whole drill. So with an internship, I think it's very important to have your junior summer internship, preferably in a company that you may see yourself working with, or in a field that you may see yourself working with. So I think those internship, the deadlines around, I think, beginning of December at least. I'm talking from a New York point of view because for the colleges that are in cities, there are many employers that come to on campus. It makes it much easier. You just go to that one building and you have all your interviews. You may have 3 in a day or something, and you should apply to everything you get your hands on and then see how the interview process goes. So I think the deadline for submitting the first round of applications, and it's called a resume drop very commonly, would be December 1st, but then there are also these accelerated programs, maybe November deadlines for different kind of programs within that internship program. So you should be very proactive in the fall of your junior year. Connect with your career counselor, whatever it may be at your school. At NYU, it's called the Wasserman Center, and you should also go check in there. Go for a few, even if you think your resume is perfect, it definitely isn't. So go in there, go in for a few resume checks. The United States, the US resume is very different from what you may see in India. They want it on one page, and there are many other different formatting issues they take very seriously. And make sure you keep with the deadlines. I know many people who would have been perfect for a particular job but just missed the deadline, and then once you miss the deadline they don't really care about it. So be very careful about those things. And I think October, November, you should start getting pretty serious about the internship. Don't stress too much about it. If it's something that may not translate into full-time, that's completely fine. If it's something that does not sponsor visas also, that's fine, as long as it's something you feel you might be interested in and something you can explore. At the same time, something a future employer would see that, okay, this was definitely helped the student. But go out there, ask many of your seniors for help, ask your professors for help, get all the help you can, but at the same time it should be all you. Don't lie on your resume, obviously, because they definitely catch that in interviews. And then moving on to the second part of the question about the job after that, I guess most people here would be listening would have an F1 visa, and as you know, you would have a 12-month OPT period which you can use at different parts. So if you don't manage to do CPT, which has some more regulatory and more university specific things, then 2 months or so of your OPT would be used up and you would have 10 months left for after you graduate. So try and make use of those 10 months and try and just get a job after college, start applying, start thinking about it once your summer internship's over. Personally, I right now don't know what I would want to be applying for, so don't worry about that. But just start giving applications out, start talking to people, start networking, which is very important. And with that, an advantage is being in New York. It's very easy to actually meet people, find people, especially alumni, get in touch with alumni, get your LinkedIn profile up there, because through that, a lot of alumni can actually see who you are all about.
Okay, so this CPT is subject to your major, depends on approvals, and it means you get credits for it. So all of that, if you can get it, you're saying preferable. But assuming you don't, so you use up 2 months of your 12-month OPT at the end of the junior year, and then you keep the 10 months for later. Now the 10 months, do they start the day you get a job, or do they start the day you graduate?
If you can do CPT, then that's the best, especially for before you graduate. You should try and use that up because it's not that hard. You get paid and you get credits for it, which may not be that important for you, but the main important part is it doesn't use up your 12 months. So when you apply for an OPT, one of the misconceptions is that you need to have a job to apply for your OPT, and that's not true. You just need to know what dates you want to apply for your OPT for. So another tip which I should have mentioned is that if you're going to stay in the summer and you know you're going to stay in the summer and you don't have a job yet, you should still apply for your OPT because it takes 3 months. The US department says it'll take 3 months. So you can say, I want my OPT to begin on May 21st. But then it means you should apply 3 months before that, because until you get that OPT card of yours, you're not going to be able to start working, and that might lead to loads of other complications. So even after you graduate, you may have actually most jobs will start in July, maybe July or August. So you wouldn't start off in May or June when you graduate. So your OPT would start off in that July, and it'll be 10 weeks from there.
10 months.
And while you're working there, you would, if your company sponsors you, which you should definitely go and look for the companies that do sponsor you and filter the ones that don't out. But if they do sponsor you, then you should start applying for your H1B visa. And that's also another issue. That's a lottery, and it's actually an absolute number, so it's not a percentage, unfortunately, for us. So the percentage keeps reducing every year, so it's just going to get harder and harder until the law changes. So with that said, there's a good chance you should be ready for it, that you're not going to get it the first time and you may have to apply again. The thing with STEM students is that they have, I think, 18 months or 17 months more than the 12 months with your F1 OPT. So that's very advantageous because you can keep applying for it more and more. Right. So you also get some kind of preferences in that sense. But that doesn't mean that if you're not doing STEM, I'm not doing STEM, right, and you can still get a visa. I know people who also maybe not got a visa on the first try. They've come back here, they've worked for a bit in India, and then they've gotten a visa and maybe gone back to continue their works there. And also, if you're doing a good job there, your employer will be very supportive of that. They'll say, yeah, I don't mind you working in the Hong Kong office or the London office for a bit until you try for your visa again, because we really want to keep you. So keep that in mind, the visa issue, keep that in mind, but also be ready for some disappointments in that sense, because it's just getting harder and harder to get that H1B visa.
Okay, Arnav, tell us the most interesting club that you've been part of in your 4 years.
Okay, yeah. Actually, that's very important, because not just about something fun, but it's really important to build a community, especially in NYU. It's a city college, and any city college, it's a bit harder. It's not a gated community, so it's a bit harder to meet people. That's why you should apply for these clubs freshman year. You have these club fests and these fairs. They should try and apply to everything you get there. So for me personally, so in high school I was quite involved with Model UN, and I continued that in college because I felt that's a lot to do with the people who kind of are part of the same club, the people, like-minded people who are interested in not just what's happening in the US but outside the world. And you get a very diverse community there. You have people from all over the world. One of my best friends is from a country called Tajikistan, and I didn't really know what that was, but I met a lot of people through Model UN. Right now I'm very comfortable with it. I'm the Secretary General of NYU's Model United Nations Conference right now, so through that I've been able to meet many students both in New York, in NYU, and also across the circuit. And you really learn a lot when you start managing a club. When you get into club leadership, it becomes almost like running a business where you have to deal with expenses, deal with profits, revenues, network with other clubs, sponsors, marketing, where you're going to spend your money, where do you think you should kind of find sponsors, what should you offer to people. So it becomes a lot like these student-led clubs. Unlike in high school, you have to basically manage on your own. If it gets messed up, it's all about you. The school gives you some money, but you have to try and work with that, create some kind of profits, help the club, help grow the club. So it's a very important learning opportunity, and also it's a really important thing that you can talk to employers about to see, because this is a very unique experience. So I would say get involved with the club and get to the leadership position of the club, not just going for the weekly meetings and just having the free food there. Try and get a bit more involved, because you'll get to meet some great people through that, and that's one of the best experiences of mine in these past 3 years.
Okay, Arnav, tell us 2 things you absolutely love about New York.
Sure. So I think there are a lot of things to love about New York. It's become my favorite city, and it's very easy to actually fall in love with the city. But I guess, okay, one thing would be that I started biking in New York. So New York has a great city bike program. It's a bike share program and has loads of stations across Manhattan and Brooklyn. So I started biking, and I bike to class now, and I bike to other places I need to go. So that's one thing I really love, and you can really explore a lot of the city through that. And people may think it's a bit dangerous, it's a bit risky, the traffic, and that's definitely one of the issues. So you should stay safe. Once in a while, it's amazing to just get out there and just, check out the city on 2 wheels. One other thing is the food, obviously. New York is one of the best places for restaurants and food in the world, and it's not just the best restaurants there, but also some of the more cheaper, some of the more traditional local places. So for example, halal carts, that's something which despite being a vegetarian, that's something I really enjoy. I think it's $4, you get a soda free, and with that you get like a really solid meal. And secondly, pizza. So interestingly, New York is the home to USS Pizza. It's the first pizzeria. Lombardi's in the United States started off in New York. So it has loads of pizza chains. You can get some of the most expensive ones, some of like the Trattoria types of pizzas, but you can also get a very famous dollar pizza. These small shops, and they have great cheese pizza. It's $1, and so it's a great late night snack too, and it's just amazing because it's all over the city. So the food is something that you should definitely not miss if you're going to be in New York.
So thank you so much, Arnav, for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Please click the subscribe button below. Like me at facebook.com/ChetChat101. Follow my Twitter handle, ChetChat101, or at Instagram, ChetChat101. Please leave your comments in the sections below. And if you'd like me to feature any particular college, please let me know. Thank you.